The truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. Let it loose. It will defend itself. Never has this statement from St. Augustine been more true or been more appropriate. In today's video, I'm going to share 2 or 3 different truths with you. And they're going to go against the mainstream narrative on both sides. That's how you know you're being deceived. Because both sides are putting out falsehoods. Tomorrow, Joe Biden is going to become the most recent servant president of the United States. I have said before, and I'll say again, he is going to be the lemon sorbet of presidents. He's going to turn the temperature down on the conversation. And that's going to make a group of people on his side of the aisle very upset. That's what a lot of people on the right are missing. He has a bigger problem within his own party than he does from anyone on the right. See, they want to keep pushing this narrative of trying to deprogram or reprogram or get some type of retribution for the last 4 years. And this is what it reminds me of. I'm sure a lot of you are confused. Wait a minute. How does that remind you of a giant alligator in Florida? Well, this is why it reminds me of a giant alligator in Florida. This is what makes it onto the news pages. This is what makes it onto the websites and onto your TV screens when people talk about gators in Florida. Now, does this represent most gators in Florida? Nope. This does. This is the vast majority of the encounters between alligators and human beings in Florida. Now, make no mistake, this little guy right here could send you to the ER. He's not completely unable to defend himself. But is he this? No. Absolutely not. This thing could eat whatever it wanted to. Whatever it wanted to. Very healthy, very well fed, which actually kind of leads us to another truth that I want to talk about today. This guy's just as healthy, he's just not as old. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but underneath are ravenous wolves. By their fruits you will know them. Fox News accidentally did some real reporting. They did an article that outlines the differences between California's response and Florida's response to COVID. And in the numbers, there is a truth revealed that they don't actually say in so many words. But you can see it in the numbers. Now, this is the article here, Closed California versus Open Florida. Who is outperforming the other? Florida has a smaller population than California, but both have similar number of cases per 100,000 residents. Now, based on what we've been told, we should have far more. Not only because Florida's been open, Florida has more of an at-risk population. We have a lot more people that are elderly, but there's something in the numbers that shows something. And I just want to go through these numbers real quick for you so that you can see what they're saying. Nearly a year since COVID first touched the United States, California and Florida, both of which have responded to the pandemic in their own ways, are yielding vastly different results. Florida, which has been more open and less restricted than its West Coast counterpart, has recorded just above 1.5 million cases, yet California, despite being among the strictest in the nation when it comes to COVID, has recorded nearly twice that figure since the start of the pandemic. Now, some would say, well, wait a minute, they have twice as many people. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Though Florida has a smaller population than California, both states have roughly the same number of, pay attention to this, cases per 100,000 residents. Not deaths, cases per 100,000 residents. That's key. California Governor Gavin Newsom has faced harsh criticism for his strict handling of the coronavirus. Over the course of 2020, he has ordered bars, indoor dining, and other business shut down in counties passing a certain threshold of COVID. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, however, has taken a different approach. Though he did take similar measures to Newsom early on, he allowed bars and restaurants to open by June. A few months later, he lifted more statewide restrictions on the economy and prohibited law enforcement from fining people who don't wear masks. Prohibited law enforcement from fining people who don't wear masks. In October, DeSantis said statewide school closures because of the coronavirus are not a viable option and should be off the table. Meanwhile, most of California's 6 million public school students have been learning remotely since the pandemic began in March. The Democratic governor late last month announced a $2 billion plan to push the state schools to begin allowing their youngest students to return to the classroom in February. Thank you for indulging me reading all of that. Here are the numbers. Deaths in Florida, pay attention, at 110 per 100,000 residents have surpassed those in California at 81 per 100,000 residents. However, CDC says that has to do with our older population. Yes, as a percentage, we have more older people in this state than anywhere. But listen to this. Yet CDC data indicates that California's death rate is gaining ground on Florida, with 7-day average daily deaths at 1.4 per 100,000 residents compared to Florida's 0.8 per 100,000. And as of Saturday, positive tests in California are also higher at 105 new cases per 100,000 to Florida's 64. Now they're doing this apples to apples. See, this last statistic here doesn't matter about population because they're doing it per 100,000. See, the reason we had the 110 number up here per 100,000, California did not see the massive influx of New Yorkers early on. There were so many New Yorkers flying and fleeing New York and their lockdown early on that they ran out of places to park the planes in South Florida. That didn't happen in California. California reached a grim milestone this week, 3 million cases. The death from COVID works out to about one person every 6 minutes in LA County. California's hospitalization rates have also surpassed Florida. And listen to this, guys. This is huge. 56 per 100,000 residents compared with Florida at around 36 per 100,000 residents. Now, what is the truth? The truth is summed up in this picture. Took me a good portion of the morning to make it. It comes down to this. This is the truth they don't want you to know because it's unpopular and it's not PC. If you come to Florida, you will lose about 10 years of aging, 10 to 15 years of aging. I know that sounds like a crazy thing. People say, oh, it's not the fountain of youth. Yeah, it kind of is. Is it the fountain of immortality? No. But there are people down here old enough to be my grandparents, and I'm 50 years old, that are playing tennis, that are fishing, that are biking, that are playing golf. They go for walks on the beach. They get out in the sunshine. There is a culture of physical fitness in Florida among the elderly. There is a culture of physical fitness among the elderly in Florida that doesn't exist, I would allege, anywhere else in the world, much less anywhere else in the United States. At 50, I'm a youngster. All of my grandparents are long past, and so are both of my parents. Down here, there are people old enough to be my grandparents that are playing golf every day, that are playing tennis 3 times a week, that ride their bikes on the beach, that swim, that go fishing. And they're 40 years older than I am. 40 years older than I am. That's the truth. And that's the reason even the most at-risk populations down here are beating it. Now, have all beat it? No. Now, we've talked about this at length. Vitamin D has now been proven, beyond the shadow of any real doubt, for a long time, and now most recently with COVID, to be the determining factor. Vitamin D, period. That is now accepted science. They've had to admit this. They've had to. But there's also another culture in Florida that doesn't exist other places. Culture of proper diet. Culture of eating healthy. And that doesn't mean just veggies. That means good, locally sourced, fresh food. Good, locally sourced, fresh food. This is another reason Florida has a wonderful open relationship with the people of Brazil. Radio Florida, Brazil, Central Florida, Brazilian American Chamber of Commerce. That's what our culture and their culture has in common. A good portion of Florida has a lot more in common with the Caribbean than it does with the rest of the United States. And a lot of people say or think that's un-American. It's not un-American. It's not un-American. We are a republic of very different states. We are a republic of very different states. And I'd like to show something that proves this. Over here on the globe. I was messing around with Google Earth Pro and it dawned on me, here's the best way to explain this. A lot of people think they live here. I believe we live here. Some people think they live here. I think we live here. See the difference? State lines. State lines. That's what a republic is. We are supposed to be different. That's why each state has its own governor. Each state has its own House, its own Senate, its own Supreme Court, its own National Guard. A lot of people say, America, America, you're un-American. Well, this concept of everybody all here, all together, goose-stepping, looking to D.C. as, the director, sorry. That is not what our founding fathers had in mind. This is what our founding fathers had in mind. And yeah, we are proud to be different. We are proud to have charted our own course. We've saved lives. We've saved lives. And that's the truth. And this is the truth. He's going to be the lemon sorbet of presidents. He's going to be the palate cleanser. And that is as upsetting to the people on the left as it is to the people on the right, because they want everything to be all angst, all anger, all end of the world, all the time. This is what they think Joe Biden is. This is what he really is. What they think, what he really is, because there are those in the media who profit off of that. And our differences show that Florida, charting its own course, has saved lives, not just recently, but historically. People love to laugh at Florida, love to make fun of Florida because of all the old people and Florida man meme and all this kind of stuff. Keep laughing. Those of you who would like to maybe take 10 or 15 years off of your life, or maybe more accurately described, add 10 or 15 or 20 years to your life, might be something to think about. It might be something to think about. I know people in northern climes that mid-60s and they're already using walkers, need to help in and out of bed, help in and out of the bathtub, driven around, things bought for them. Florida? 65? Life's just getting started. Life's just getting started. There are people in their 90s playing golf. People in their 90s playing golf. Imagine that, 65 years old. You got 25 years left. You got 25 years left to go do all those things you wanted to do. Go for a walk on the beach, go swimming, go biking, play tennis, 1,000 other activities, dancing, deep sea fishing. Even regular fishing is exercise to some extent. All out in the sunshine. Healthy food, healthy, fresh food. It's part of our culture. It's part of who we are. I'm not ashamed of it. This channel's called the Florida Maquis for a reason. And I'll leave it there. Like, share, subscribe.